Physical, hard-nosed, tactical, methodical, and old school are some ways to describe the Detroit Pistons. It's interesting how they continue to get back to this gritty, defensive-oriented identity from the bad boy Pistons in the late 80s, early 90s that won 2 NBA titles, to the go-into-work squad that won the championship in 2004, to now this current grouping. They are a ferocious and imposing unit, but so are the Orlando Magic, as they too like to play a physical brand of basketball. Here's a full breakdown of this upcoming first-round playoff series. The Pistons have arguably the best hands, instincts, anticipation, and timing in the league. They rank number 1 in the regular season in both steals and blocks, and they were tied for number 2 in deflections. They also were number 1 in opponent turnovers and number 2 in points off those turnovers. They will hound and swarm you in the paint with a crowd of defenders and force opponents into bad decisions. Their ball pressure is incredibly intense. No team hustles more than Detroit. They rank number 1 in loose balls recovered for good reason. If the ball is up for grabs, the Pistons are likely to get it. They are just relentless and persistent and have no problem diving on the court to secure possession. The Pistons catch you napping a lot. They are an absolutely sensational cutting team, and they do it with precise timing and rapid movement going towards the basket. They rank number 2 in shots off cuts. Unique about them is that they do a lot of their passing to cutters from the paint. This was something the Magic did a lot 2 seasons ago, and something the Warriors have been known for over the last decade. But now the Pistons capitalized frequently off those short distance passes to attackers flying toward the hoop. Just 10 years ago, there were 11,687 shots taken off post-ups in the league. This season, there were just 4,561. That difference highlights how much the game has changed in a decade, but that doesn't matter to the Pistons. You'll see them post up quite a bit. This is something Tobias Harris does a lot, Jalen Duren will post up, and so will Cade Cunningham, and they are efficient as well with their backs to the basket. They shot 54.9% off post-ups, 5th best in the league this season. Sticking to the theme of scoring near the basket, they also took the 4th most shots off lobs. Duren ranked 3rd in the league, and Asar Thompson was 32nd. Their physicality translates in their screening. They set the 3rd most off-ball screens this year. Interesting is that the Magic were 2nd in this department. This is what helps Detroit get so many paint touches, a category it ranked number 1 in. Their screening will come from different directions and angles. They'll hit you with zipper screens, clip screens, back screens, etc. As you'd expect from such a physical team, the Pistons draw a ton of fouls. They rank number 3 in free throw attempts. This, of course, is also something Orlando thrives at. The Magic were number 1 in free throw attempts. Probably most interesting about this series compared to all the others is that we probably are not going to see that many threes go up. The Pistons were 2nd to last in three-point attempts, while the Magic were 22nd. Defensively, Detroit was number 1 in opponent three-point percentage. They are really good at racing out the shooters on the perimeter and using their size and length to contest shots around the arc. You'll almost never see them in a zone defense, and they don't switch very much. They look to avoid mismatches, and they want to keep their bigs in a good position to box out for rebounds. But this is 2026. Three-point shooting is always a factor. Preventing Duncan Robinson, who shot 41% from downtown this season, from getting open looks will be critical. The biggest keys for the Magic are forcing turnovers, getting out and running in transition, winning the rebounding battle, and making their free throws. The Pistons averaged just over 15 turnovers per contest, which ranked 21st. In Detroit's 22 losses combined, opponents averaged just under 20 points off turnovers, which is obviously a big number. So circle this on the stat sheet after each game in this series, because it will likely need to be somewhere around that number for Orlando to come out on top. Meanwhile, the Pistons ranked 4th in second chance points. It is absolutely imperative for the Magic to hold them to one shot as often as possible. Being as physical as Detroit is sometimes ends up having an adverse effect. Opponents averaged a league-high 27.2 free throw attempts against them this season. That's interesting because no team gets to the line more than Orlando, which averaged 27.5 foul shots. The Magic shot 80.1% from the stripe, 8th best. This is why the Magic need to be ultra aggressive getting downhill, drawing fouls, and converting at the stripe. So the big questions are, can the Magic force the Pistons into enough live ball turnovers? That would allow Orlando to score easier baskets in transition. On the topic of turnovers, the Magic must take care of the ball. It's an absolute necessity. Can they be the ones to dish out more interior punishment than receive? That would help them win the rebounding battle. And can they shoot a high enough percentage at the free throw line? They almost certainly will get there. It's just a matter of cashing in. So that'll wrap up this video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe.
What's up, guys? And welcome to Courtside Countdown, presented by Hard Rock Bag. Kendra Douglas, Savage Says, in the building right here for you. You're looking at some of the guys getting ready for tonight's game, and I'm excited because it's going to be a good one for the Orlando Magic as they are in the playoffs, taking on the Detroit Pistons. You see Paolo Banchero warming up right now. This is going to be a fun time. I'm excited because we have Dan who's in the arena right now. He's there. He can see it. He told me it was loud. Dan, how is the atmosphere right now?
Yeah, it's already loud here in Detroit. Fans are excited and packed in early. We saw a number of Magic fans have some behind me, and they're ready to rock and roll. So I like the energy of the guys. It's been locked in since shoot around, and I think everybody's ready to get down here in business and try to find a way to steal game one.
I mean, why not? Why not? Especially after how great that play-in game was in Orlando against the Charlotte Hornets. Magic fans, I want you guys to continue to give us your comments. I see people are saying, Kendra, hi, game time. There he is. Hey, Kendra and Dan. They love us, Dan. They love us. I'm happy that we could do this.
We love them. We love them.
I'm happy that we could do this for you guys because this is going to be a fun, awesome experience. So let's talk about this team. Let's talk about, the game against the Charlotte Hornets and what happened with that. So Dan, let's look at those highlights from the Charlotte Hornets game and what stood out to you about that game?
Yeah, I thought right from the jump, the Magic were locked into the game plan, both offensively and defensively. And when you look at their defensive numbers, they put up historic play-in numbers on the defensive end of the floor, and that generated a lot of early offensive looks. And they had a defensive rating of 70 in the first half. And if you look across the NBA, the best marks this season were in the 90s. So that shows you how locked in the Magic were defensively, with Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black and Franz Wagner leading the charge on that end of the floor.
And that's what you want. Like, that's what you want. I see comments saying Kendra and Dan, the GOAT. You guys must have fun. We are. Someone said that this is a treat. We have got to follow this team throughout. We're so excited for what's going on for the Orlando Magic. Con Knipple, he had an insane game, but also LaMelo Ball had an insane game too. What I liked about what they did was they really limited Con Knipple from shooting the three and really knocking down those shots. I had told you part of the way within that game, like, I'm okay if he settles for a layup, because that's honestly what you would want. It's much more of a struggle. It really felt like this team first, and that's what you wanted from this Magic squad.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see not quite the same strategy, but a similar one executed on Cade Cunningham tonight, where you really want to get him off the three-point line. You want to get the ball out of his hands and force him into tough contested twos, if not other guys on that roster, into floaters, mid-range shots. And so I think the Magic are going to try to build off that performance defensively against Charlotte, where they really, force guys into that mid-range. And while Detroit doesn't have an overwhelming number of excellent three-point shooters, they do have a few guys on that roster that can get hot from beyond the arc, like Duncan Robinson tonight. And so it's really a know-your-personnel type of night, and I expect the Magic to be locked in just like they were against this Hornets team.
Last time that they had this series was, I mean, the Detroit Pistons and Orlando Magic, they faced each other 4 times in the NBA postseason. Now, of course, Detroit has led that one 3-1, but there's still opportunities for this Magic squad, especially with how they're playing now, to come out more aggressive. And I want to specifically talk about Paolo Banchero in that last game against the Charlotte Hornets. Playoff P is here. That is what I'm excited about. 25 points for Paolo Banchero in that game.
Second half more in overtime. The other night in that big win against Miami.
Banchero strong to the hole.
Always have national media talking crap about P. Is that going to be the thing?
Black floats it up.
Hey, if it works, whatever it takes. But he's a guy who set up a lot of the haters. And for everybody who said maybe his head wasn't in the right place, or had slipped from last season, we saw when the chips were down the type of player that Paolo Banchero is, and that he is built for the postseason. And I thought the look we got into the Magic's locker room afterwards, from the video cameras, from the Magic's content crew, as well as the NBA, we saw a spirited Paolo Banchero in that locker room afterwards, engaging his teammates and calling for what was needed in this playoff game. And I thought during shoot-around today, he did the same thing. He broke the Magic's huddle. He spoke about how this team needs to bring the right mindset, be ready for the physicality, and be ready to match that and exceed that against Detroit in order to steal a road game here in game 1, as well as in game 2. So I think he is locked in and engaged both offensively and defensively. And when we have that type of playoff P, watch out for the opponents.
And that's what you want. You want that type of playoff P in this mix, because right now, here is an opportunity for him to continue to help this Magic squad shine. And that's what we want to see from him. I think ultimately, you hear everyone talk about, just what's been going on. They hear the chatter, but now it's time to lock in. So I want to ask you, I know you spoke to him at shoot around today. Like, what's his mindset? What are you hearing and gathering and understanding about what he's thinking about going into this game?
Physical, tactical, methodical, and old school are some ways to describe the Detroit.
Nothing what happens after it matters. All that matters is the Magic come in, get a win tonight, and ultimately in the series. That's his singular focus. I thought that was an excellent description by P5 of the type of attitude he and this team need to have.
Yeah, I think you're right, because ultimately he is the leader of this group. He's the one that this Magic team will look at and look towards. And you expect a lot out of a first round pick too. So I completely think that you're right. One of the things that someone commented saying Mosley versus Bickerstaff. So let's talk about that relationship real quick. So yes, head coach Jamal Mosley and JB Bickerstaff, who congratulations to JB Bickerstaff for winning coach of the year for him. But he's somebody that has really they have a really good relationship. Those two have bonded for so long. They have a really great bond. So it will be interesting to see two coaches who are also really close go head to head. But Dan, in March, I wanted this matchup. I wanted this playoff because I knew it was going to be aggressive and physical because these two coaches are really defensive and physically minded.
Yeah, you hear some fans preach that they love 90s basketball. They miss that style. Well, if that is true for you, I bet you'll love this series because it's going to be smash mouth basketball on both ends of the floor. Both these teams love to get into the paint. Both of them are built on defensive principles and physicality. And we saw in that Magic game against the Hornets that they can hit those marks and exceed them. So if they bring that type of physicality, his Pistons team is in a rude awakening because the Magic aren't your typical 8 seed, maybe team that's young and dipping their toe in the water for the first time, or team that doesn't quite have high-end talent. The Magic are built for a team that was expected to host a first-round playoff series. They're finally starting to play like one, in part because they're healthy. And I think Magic head coach Jamal Mosley is ready for that challenge, even if it's going up against his good friend. He said they spoke yesterday for the final time. They will not talk to each other for the rest of the series. He said it's kind of like going into the octagon against somebody you know, a sparring partner perhaps, and now it's just all about throwing blows and seeing who comes up on top.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Paolo Banchero, he's going to have a guy in Desmond Bane also show up. I mean, I go back to that play-in tournament with Desmond Bane, had such a great performance in that Little Caesars Arena. What are you expecting and what do you hope to see out of Desmond Bane? We haven't seen, a playoff Desmond Bane. And so that's going to be new for us as well. I imagine that he's going to turn it up a level as well.
Yeah, he's a guy who didn't get to go through shoot around this morning because he is battling an illness. However, he's going through the full walkthrough right now and a little bit more detail than his normal pregame routine because the coaches are giving him all the principles that they walk through with guys during shoot around this morning. But boy, is he locked in as ever. He was a guy you could tell pregame is ready to go, and there's no illness that's keeping him out of this game tonight. He is excited for this opportunity, all smiles right now as he walks off the court because he loves this type of thing. Give him another opponent who's physical, who thinks they're built the same type of way, and he's the type of pit bull that's going to show, I'm the most physical guy. I'm the one built most like this. So he's going to be the dog out there. These Pistons have the shirt that says all dog on them. Okay. Desmond Bane's like all pit bull,
I like that. And don't forget, guys, as you guys are watching into Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet, tonight's game will be on NBC and Peacock with the game at 6:30. So we do not have the game tonight. That's okay because you have Kendra Douglas, as Savage says, here for you, trying to get you guys hyped and ready for tonight's game with the Orlando Magic taking on the Detroit Pistons here tonight. Some of the comments that I'm seeing out here too is, one person said they want us to continue to tell the guys and tell the team to stay positive. Yes, we're going to continue to tell these guys. We got Dan, they are in Detroit. He'll tell them to stay positive and to keep going because it should be a good game here tonight. Other comments I'm seeing is look for double Dell to own the paint tonight. Yes. I like that. And we're going to talk about Wendell as well. And then some other comments talking about the defense. They know that this is going to be a really big defensive battle. Okay, let's talk about Wendell though real quick because you're right about a know your personnel kind of night. It is going to be like that, especially when it comes to points in the paint and when it comes to crashing the glass and how many boards these guys can get tonight because this is a team that loves to score inside the paint. What are you looking for out of Wendell Carter Jr. when you see the way he's been practicing, you see the performance he had against the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, you need to live up to the challenge against a guy like Jalen Duren because he's a guy, as the seasons have gone along, has really developed his ability to handle the basketball, be a secondary playmaker in addition to Cade Cunningham. So there's no more sagging off him like there used to be. You have to be physical with him throughout, get him to move the basketball. And if you allow him to get into a rhythm, both on the glass and offensively, he can make it a long night for you. So Wendell needs to be locked in, both from his individual matchups as well as team concepts.
Yeah, I like what you said there. And someone made a comment too, and I think we need to talk about this. Dell took off his mask and went into beast mode. I completely 100% agree with that. It was crazy. Dell said, I don't care if I have a broken nose. I got to figure out how to win for this team. And he did just that. I see some other comments saying that Wendell Carter Jr. and Go are going to have to get knighted by Mosley if they win this game. I think that you got to look at it from a standpoint of, you know what, they are going to win this game because you have what I've really liked about what Goga's done lately is as soon as he's coming off the bench, he's provided a really good spark for this team. He's been very good at blocking. I mean, he tied a career high, I believe, at blocking against the Charlotte Hornets. So those two guys are really good weapons to have in your core at this moment, I would say, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. So much of this matchup on both ends of the floor are going to be about protecting the paint. And for the Magic, that starts with their guards, staying in front of the basketball, not allow guys to gain penetration, running through screens as they did against Charlotte, drawing so many offensive fouls against the Hornets as they just force their way through screens. That's going to be a big factor tonight. Now, the advantage the Magic will have going against a Detroit team is you can go under a lot more of those screens than you could against the Charlotte team that was so dangerous from beyond the arc. What you do have to worry about more is
oh no, I think we might have lost Dan. He is going through it within Little Caesars Arena. See, this will tell you Little Caesars Arena is not meant for us to be there because the Magic need to win a couple of games. So that way we can get back into Orlando. But you got me for right now. So let's talk about some of the comments that you guys are giving me and see if we can get Dan Savage back in the mix. Some of the comments I'm loving is our X factor in this game must be AB, and their X factor might be Tobias. And Paolo needs to come ready for this same intensity on both ends like the last game. I like that comment a lot when it's deep dive. I think that's a really great one, especially since AB has come back into the mix. What he brings, especially his versatility on defense, has been so impactful for this Orlando Magic group. I think that's going to be beneficial. I think that's going to be needed as they go into the playoffs. You see it right there. He's averaging 15 points, a little bit more than 3 rebounds, and more than 3 assists. So him continuing to facilitate and him to do a good job of helping everyone out, that's going to be a really good a measure of what he can do for this team. Let me see what other comments you guys. Oh, Suggy Bear. Yes. Okay. Love this. Suggy Bear and AB will lock up Cade Cunningham tonight. They will be shaking off the rust. Let's steal game 1. Love that comment. What I liked about Jalen Suggs' performance in the first half, less foul trouble and really helped facilitate and really helped get everyone involved. I would like to see a lot more of that again in this game, just because the way that Detroit plays is so physical and so just dominating that they're going to be they're going to be really aggressive in the paint, and 2, they're going to be physical just like the Magic were. I was looking into kind of how the turnovers and things are with them. So the Detroit Pistons, they're one of the top teams that actually foul a lot of their opponents. On the other side, the Magic, they're number 1 in free throw attempts. So it's kind of like a good balance for this group if the Magic can get this ready. And I think we have Dan back in the mix. I was telling them Little Caesars Arena, no Wi-Fi. I like this comment right here. This is what Lewis said. Little Caesars only delivers pizzas, not Wi-Fi.
50% off Papa John's, because when the Magic win, you win too. So that's what I think everybody in Central Florida is hoping for tonight when the Magic go against a Pistons team that is going to be extremely physical, and they're going to be looking to get it into the paint against the Magic.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love that comment right there. I love that one, Lewis. Thanks for mentioning that because they do not, because obviously the Wi-Fi was not doing us a favor. But I was just talking a little bit about Anthony Black, and I was mentioning how this Detroit team is known for fouling. But on the other side, you have a Magic team that's ranked high in free throw attempts. How do you view that matchup? If the guys can get to the line, how important can that be and change the momentum of this game?
Oh, unquestionable, because we saw both Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs as the point of attack defenders really shifted the course of that game right from the jump. And I talked to Jalen Suggs about that during shoot around, about how most teams don't have one player like Jalen Suggs. The Magic have two of them in him and Anthony Black. And he was so excited about the way AB played and said, in his opinion, Anthony Black is going to have a big series, especially on the defensive end, and be one of the players that shifts it in the Magic's favor. So excited for that tonight, and excited to see the way that AB starts to shine as he gets more and more in rhythm this series.
Yeah, we were just kind of mentioning AB and we were talking about Jalen Suggs because that's kind of what some of the comments of they want to see AB have a better game and continuing to shine. I think for him, it's about continuing to feel comfortable and getting his footing really underneath him. But now that you're in the playoffs, you kind of have to get to this moment now where I think it's all in and you got to just leave it all on the court for this team.
Yeah, no question about it. I think Franz Wagner, AB started to finally get in a rhythm. We saw that defensively because everybody talks about offensive rhythm, getting that going. I think there's equal can be said about defensive rhythm, especially for guys who pride themselves on that end of the floor. And we see Franz Wagner as the Mavs' premier wing defender. He gets out, gets into the basket. I thought he was so disruptive, especially the way he ran through screens. And Anthony Black was equally in that type of rhythm. And if he could get out and generate points off turnovers, that can really give the Magic and the boost it needs to come out on top against the Detroit team that's going to make things close.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. One of the comments from Duval T87, one of our people that we normally see, he says Wendell needs to step up. So I want to talk a little bit about the Detroit Pistons and how guys like Wendell can slow them down. Let's talk a little bit about Cade Cunningham. So as we know, Cade Cunningham was dealing with a collapsed lung. He's been back. He's been able to play. His last game that he was playing was, I believe, against the Pacers on April 12th. He scored 7 points in 22 minutes. Now, his career versus Orlando, he's averaging 11 points per game in his career versus Orlando. How do you slow down a guy like Cade Cunningham here tonight who has helped this Detroit Pistons team reach a new feat that they haven't seen in a while?
Yeah, somebody asked Magic head coach Jamal Mosley that during pregame. He said it takes a lot. He goes, I'll just leave it at that. But he is the Magic's number one priority tonight, and it takes being locked in from the jump to get the ball out of his hands. So you're going to have to show him different looks. At times, Magic will send two to get the ball out of his hands, but he's willing to do that. He was just one of two players in the NBA this season to average at least 23 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds per game. The other is three-time MVP Nikola Jokic. And with 9.9 assists per game, almost 10 dimes per outing, he was second in the NBA once again behind Jokic in assists per game. So he's a guy that can hurt you in a number of ways, but you have to try the best you can to take him out of the game plan, because if you let him get comfortable, if you let him get going, he'll be the head of the snake of a Detroit offense that will take you down.
Yeah, I want to get to some of everyone's comments. JB Production saying he's watching this game from Orlando. Hey, it's okay. We love it.
Hopefully not JB Bickerstaff Production.
Exactly. Hey, Tony. We see you, Tony. Hey. Also some other comments saying watching from Clearwater. Look, we love that everyone is watching this game. One of the comments that I saw too was Duran is a fully grown man under the basket. Carter has to play tough for us to win. let's talk about Jalen Duren. Let's talk about how he's been performing. And then I want to get to your storylines and get you out of here. So let's talk about Jalen Duren. His averaging 19 and a half points per game. I mean, more than 10 rebounds. Jalen Duren has just been someone who's been a force all season. You can see that. But the pressure of getting him to slow down, how do you force him to make those shots outside instead of getting physical in the paint?
Yeah, that takes a lot of work. You have to be physical with him right as soon as the ball comes across half court so he doesn't establish low post positioning. You know, we talk a lot about points in the paint. The Pistons #1 in the NBA with 57.9 of them per game this season. Jalen Duren was responsible for 14.6 of them. So when you talk about a guy that's averaging 19 points, a huge percentage of them are coming within the painted area. So the Magic are going to have to do the best they can to get him off his spots and away from the basket if they want to come away with the win and if they want to eliminate him from being a big part of the Pistons offense.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there on that one because he's him and Cade Cunningham. Those two are crucial when it comes to just how effective that this Detroit Pistons team is. So you eliminate that, you start to eliminate all their weapons. Let's get to your storylines though, and tell me what you got for this game. What are we looking forward to for this game, Dan Savage?
No, I love it, and shout out to Maria for getting these up quickly with my late send. But #1, as we've talked about so much, controlling the paint. The Magic have been so effective in that area in their best games, and the Pistons have been so effective in scoring in that area in their best games. So if the Magic can take away some of those paint points for a team that thrives in that area and isn't the best three-point shooting team, they can tip the scales of victory in their favor. Mm-hmm. Secondly, be the more physical team. You know, the Pistons can say all they want about being all dogs, about the way that they're playing the brand of basketball. Look, the Magic have been playing that way for even longer than they have with the respective unit that they have. So they can establish that physicality, match it with the Pistons and exceed it. They can send some frustrated fans home tonight in Detroit. Defensive discipline. This is a know your personnel type of night. You have to be locked in. You can't give them easy looks to the basket. You have to follow through, get through screens, stick to the game plan. Because, look, JB Bickerstaff and the Pistons know this Magic team well, vice versa. So it's going to be coming into the fine details of the game that are going to be the deciding parts of the outcome tonight.
I love those storylines right there. Those are all really good ones, especially since we know that that this is going to be a physical game. We know that they have to control the paint in this one. I saw that there are comments saying that they're watching from the watch party tonight. So thank you all Magic fans who are at the watch party and who are going to support the Orlando Magic tonight. That will do it for us on Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. We're going to say like road traveling. You're road tripping for this one. Well, Dan Savages at least. Tonight's game will be on NBC and Peacock, but we will continue to be back here for you to give all of your needs, to talk to you, the fans, as we get you ready for tonight's game. You see it right there, the Magic taking on the Detroit Pistons for the first round of the NBA playoffs. I'm pumped. I'm excited. Dan, thank you so much for joining us and locking in with us from Detroit. We will see you guys later, and have a good night and go Magic.